Today is Saturday, September 26, 2016, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. and you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you'll also find links to the show's Facebook page and Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you are listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. And now a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job seeker workshops as well as a one-on-one job seeker boot camp. For more information, go to bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is the low-cost, high-quality resume writing company with resumes as low as $35 written by certified resume writers. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a free professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you're thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long, complicated applications, branding, and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality, how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another week. I'm not going to belabor the point. We have a special returning guest this week, Joellyn Sargent. Joellyn, are you there?
Hey, Tyrone. Good to be with you again. Yes, I'm here. It's great to be with you again.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. After all of that, and I still almost pronounced it wrong. Okay.
All right.
Well, today you're going to talk to us about the Solopreneur project, and we're going to start out.
It's something I'm really excited about.
Okay. Well, let's start out with the simple question. First of all, what inspired you to start the Solopreneur project? The Solopreneur School, I'm sorry.
Well, it's a Solopreneur School, and it's one of the new top-level domains, so people can find it at solopreneur.school, which is a little bit different. But I've been consulting for a little over 5 years now through my company, which is the Claravon Group, and I work with a lot of small business owners and startups as well as mid-market companies. And one of the things I noticed, especially recently, is that a lot of people were coming to me saying, I want to start a business, I'm thinking about doing this, or I have a sideline business, but I don't know, how to get started. I don't know, whatever it might be. Lots and lots of questions were coming up. And so it occurred to me that it might be beneficial for them to have a place where they could go and get information and just learn the basics, not only of how to start a business, but also how to build it so that they could really thrive as independent professionals, whether they wanted to do that on a part-time or a full-time basis.
Okay. I know some schools do teach, they have entrepreneurship classes now. The challenge the challenge with entrepreneurship obviously is, number one, having an idea that will work, and number two, having the drive to keep going through with it. So
right. And I find that entrepreneurship is very popular right now, but that's typically geared to people who want to start a business and build it and grow it, and possibly sell it further on down the line. And I was finding a lot of people who said, I just want to be me and have control over my own life and not necessarily build a big staff or a giant company. So consultants, people like that. But even I have a client who's a remodeling contractor, and all his work is done through Dub, so he's a solopreneur too.
Okay. let me make sure I wrote it down right. It's the solopreneur.school.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I'll make sure we have that in the in the show notes.
Great.
Well, you kind of answered this question, but I'll ask it. Why is it growing so quickly? I mean, more. I guess, like you said, more people are wanting to take control of their own destiny, I guess.
Absolutely. And you know, I think some people think of solopreneurs and think, oh, that's just the millennial generation. But you know, people at all walks of life are wanting to, you know, number one, take more control of their life, but some of them have also had change forced on them. And they may be at a time in their life or at an age where it's harder to find a job, but they still need to have an income. So why not create their own business and take that approach? So it's really multi-generational, and the way we work has changed considerably. I was actually talking with somebody in the HR field the other day, and there's so many people are shifted to 1099, not by choice, but that's what a lot of companies have done. And so, boom, you know, you're in business for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, you know, there's definitely some attractiveness, like you said, of being your own person. Let me ask you this question: what attracted you to being a solopreneur?
Well, I think I have a longer winding road. You know, who doesn't? Years ago, my husband and I went through a hurricane when we were, you know, early in our married life, early in our career, and I was expecting our first daughter, and we lived in Miami, obviously, and so at that point, let's restart, and we decided to reboot our lives, basically, and move to a small town in Tennessee. And at that point, I started a business, but I was trying to grow, and I had staff, and I found a lot of it, I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would. I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do. And eventually I shut that down and came to Atlanta and worked with UPS, you know, giant companies. So that was a little bit of a shock.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 20-some years in corporate, but I always had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to do it again, but do it differently. So when the chance came up, you know, about 5 years ago, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my own thing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I apologize for that noise. I had a computer glitch here. Yeah. And I'll just say this between me and you, all my notes disappeared.
Oh dear.
So tell me more about the Solopreneur School. I mean, tell me what kind of people, what are there demographically? Is there certain types of people you try to attract, or is there any kind of test you do to say, okay, here's the kind of person who would be a good solopreneur?
I don't do it so much in terms of filtering who comes to the site. The content is geared for anybody who's committed to building a business on their own. And I say thrive on your own terms is kind of our tagline. But I do have a solopreneur quiz that I created that's on the website. And that's, people, if they just Google solopreneur readiness quiz, they can find it. I think it's the first, if you Google that phrase, it's the first thing that pops up. Mm-hmm. But it takes you through several questions to help you determine, is this the right thing for me? Okay. Because it does take a certain personality type, you know, not necessarily an industry or anything like that, you know, but you have to be self-directed and motivated. You know,
I remember back, 20 some odd years ago when the internet, you know, first blew up, and there were a lot of my friends, we all had this dream of becoming, you know, internet billionaires. Didn't happen for some of us, but I think what happens, I think a lot of times people see the glamorous side of being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, as you call it. They see the control of, you know, I can go where I want, do what I want, when I want. And they don't realize, like, say, for example, with people who are contracting or, you know, not contract, but consulting. I've had conversations with some consultants, and, you know, a lot of their time, you know, not just consulting with their clients, but a lot of their time is spent lining up new business. You know, because
I mean, that's absolutely. If you're self-employed, you're a marketer. You're a sales, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and you don't realize that, when you work for a corporation, they may have a whole department that is geared specifically toward generating new business. They call it sales. They have a whole organization that
Right.
all they do is bring in the business. Their whole job is to bring in the business. When you are on your own, that's part of what you have to do in addition to working your current contract.
Right, right. And that's a real balancing act. How much time do you devote to delivering whatever work you have on your plate right now, and how much time do you devote to going out and getting new business? And some people think it's either or, but you have to really juggle it. I look at it as, in the circus, they have the people with the spinning plates, and they're trying not to drop anything. That's the best analogy I can think of for life as a solopreneur. You've got a long plate spinning.
Well, let me ask you this question: what challenges do people face who have a spouse who is working? Because I would imagine on the one hand, people would think, oh, my spouse is working, they're covering the bills, this is just extra. But I would imagine there's some challenges there because, okay, while you're off pursuing your dream, as they might say, your spouse is holding it down, and your spouse is, they're definitely trying to hold it all down. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that could be a lot of pressure on them, whether it's a spouse or if you live at home with your parents or whatever it might be. Anybody who's supporting you financially has a lot of pressure, and they need to buy into your dream, because if they don't, you're going to get those subtle messages that, like, okay, how long is this going to last? When are you going to be done playing around and get a real job? Those kinds of questions pop up. So having a strong support system, whatever it is, or that's a spouse, good friends, a peer group, those things are so important to sustain you. But also, I think if you know this is something you want to do and you do it full time, you need to have some cash in the bank to get you through those rough patches, so that you can pay the bills and not be completely stressed about where the next dollar is coming from. Because I find when that happens, people take bad business. They end up doing projects that aren't a good fit.
That's interesting you bring up that point, about the money in the bank. What do you talk to solopreneurs as far as the finances? Are there any guidelines you give them or that you can give that, before you decide to do this, make sure you have, X dollars, or you can survive for X number of months without an income? Or how do you talk to that?
Yeah. It's really about how long can you survive, and that's a different number for different people depending on the lifestyle. And if you're doing something kind of part-time, like say you are in transition, you do want a full-time job, and just want to get some extra income coming in, you don't need as much of a cushion because you're doing things by baby steps. But if you want this to be your livelihood and this is your, kind of your act two, and you can plan ahead before you leave the job, having 6 to 12 months in the bank to be able to support your lifestyle is going to take a tremendous amount of stress off you. Not everybody has that, but if you can plan towards that, and I know I did that. I started bankrolling money when about a year out, I knew it was going to be time for me to make a change. So every spare penny I had went into savings.
Well, you know what, and that guideline of 6 months, I'll just say from personal experience, that's what they used to tell us as far as in your personal life, to have that kind of that kind of money in the bank just in case. And I tell you, when you're going through transition, you go through that money fast.
You do, yeah. And so many times you don't see it coming. So you're right. Just having that as a backup, just as a general approach to life, is good. With solopreneurs, you may not burn through that in the first 6 months. You may start out really well because you've got a lot of contacts from a past job or something like that. But then 8, 10, 12 months into it, things may start to slow down, and you find that's when you need to start to draw on that. So it's good to keep a cushion, and as you start to make money, continue to replenish that so that it's there for you no matter what.
Let me ask you this question. What career fields do you consider are best for solopreneurs?
It's interesting because, like I said, a lot of people think, it's kind of internet, like you said, or young people, but that's not necessarily the case. I have several clients who are solopreneurs. One I can think of is a very successful organization consultant. So she works with executives on how to organize their offices and independent homeowners on how to organize their homes, and she does that as a solopreneur and just brings in help as she needs it. Somebody also mentioned the remodeling contractor. He's doing a very significant business, but it's his company, and he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then also has somebody in the travel business who does exotic travel tours. And she's one who, she came to me and said, I want to do this full time. I'm working in corporate, but I want to make that transition. And so we worked together for several months to figure out, okay, how do we get your business to a place where it can support you? And then she was able to quit her job about a year ago and go out on her own. Mm-hmm. So it can be really all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
We think of the professional, the consultants, CPAs, some attorneys, but it could be services, plumbing, tailor,
Mm-hmm.
really pretty much anything these days you can do on your own.
I think
especially because so many companies are using consultants and 1099 employees, and that, you really need to look at that as being self-employed as well.
And I think, too, with technology, particularly if you are, a programmer, computer programmer, you build, smartphone applications or something like that. You can do that type of job. I've heard, you hear stories about people who are doing that type of job, and they're doing it from home, and they may be consulting with 4 or 5 different companies at a time. And they're, because of technology, you can do everything remote. You don't have to.
And that's an advantage and a disadvantage.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that can be a downside for some people.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like, remember, go back 10, 12 years when we first started in this country doing a lot of outsourcing, where, I worked for a company and we had a big organization in Manila where they did a lot of number crunching and then sent it back to us, basically. And people were afraid, a lot of jobs, and that's the thing with technology. A lot of jobs become very portable. But if you're again, I use computer programming because that's one of those jobs where if you are good at it, you can do that. People will come to you, and you can live in the Ozarks. You know what I'm saying? You can go find a nice house on a hill out in the middle of nowhere. As long as you get internet service, you don't have a problem. We kind of talk.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to the next.
I was just going to say that's so true. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say if you've got a great internet connection, you can work from anywhere. And a lot of those technology kind of jobs are a good fit. Copywriting, creative work, whether it's digital or even print work can be done remotely. Mm-hmm. So graphic designers, photographers, sometimes photographers need to be on site, but they can be then go back to their office and do a lot of hands-on work. So it's really interesting to see just the whole kind of the way people work. It's been through a huge transition in the past 5 or 10 years. It's driven largely by the internet, but not exclusively.
It's funny. You mentioned graphic design, and I just remember about the Apple came out with a new iPad Pro, and during the demo, they were showing somebody who did some graphic design right on their tablet, and I'm thinking this is really about to change everything. You're going to see people.
I love that. Yeah.
You're going to see people sitting on the beach with it.
With Canva?
I'm sorry?
Exactly, doing graphics.
Yeah.
Have you seen Canva.com?
No.
That's awesome. And I think about I used to create graphics for my blog posts, and it would take me an hour or two with Canva. 10 minutes, you're done.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Was it?
So this one of the tools makes Solopreneur easy too, because it streamlines things that you used to have to hire somebody to do.
You said it's canva.com?
canva.com.
Okay.
And you can upload pictures as backgrounds, or you can buy pictures and put text in. And it's really pretty cool tool.
Because I have that same issue, doing graphics all the time, and okay, so we kind of mentioned this already, but what do you see like the biggest obstacles for solar professionals?
I think that getting in your own way can be a real challenge. I mean, as you mentioned, the balance between delivering and selling and that sort of stuff. But I think so much of it is time management, of course, but your focus and your mindset. And if you're the kind of person who, if things don't go well with a client, or your plans to, you're expecting to get a deal and it falls through, and if that just really sets you back for a week, that's going to be a tough road. You have to be very resilient and just understand that it's a roller coaster ride. The bumps and bruises just come with the territory, and there are going to be times where you're really on a big high and times when you're on a low, but you have to just sort of pick yourself up, dust off, and go on and find the next thing.
Yeah,
I think that's a big one.
I agree. It's like you gotta have that mental toughness. I'm going to ask you about the unique opportunities, but we kind of talked about that too. As far as unique opportunities they enjoy, I would say off the top of my head, it's the flexibility and freedom. But is there any other unique opportunities?